Hey there, everybody. Ian Lee here. Hope y'all are doing well. It's been a minute since I posted on YouTube. I've gotten some really great feedback and some nice comments recently about some of my older lessons, which has been encouraging. So thank you to, of course, anybody that has subscribed before and is currently subscribing and is getting into the channel. And I'm going to keep sharing. I really love this medium, and it's fun just to be able to explore these things and ideally offer you inspiration and education so that you can continue your own learning path, maybe help you get unstuck where you might feel stuck, or help you maybe see some things that you just weren't seeing before. You know, that's what I love about all the great teachers I've interacted with in my times. They kind of help guide me or string things together that I'm working on. So regardless, I'm excited to get back into posting again and making some videos for y'all. So I thought it'd be fun to talk about doing some more kind of classic swing rhythm guitar over the song Deed I Do. We might just look at the first 8 bars in this video. And we'll be using some Barry Harris ideas in here. And of course, these might be some more common chord movements in general for jazz guitar and playing in a swing rhythm style, etc. But I think it's, one thing I really love about Barry's thinking and his teaching and what he shared with us in his lifetime was it really, I think, helps put things into such a great context so that they can become repeatable. So we can learn something and go, ooh, I want to use that. It becomes a move that you can then put any place. And he's got all these great kind of codifications, as it were, for single note lines and chord movement. So we'll be taking a look at some of these ideas through his lens. But let me go ahead and show you all what I've been working on here. So I'll just do a little bit of Deed I Do. Well, do I love you? Oh my, do I, honey? Deed I do. Well, do I want you? Oh my, do I, honey? Deed I do. That's where we go into the bridge. Made a couple little flubs in there, but I'll let myself slide. So let's talk about this a little bit. We have this lovely little chord here. I love this voicing. I think it's a great voicing. I'm playing in the key of D. This is where it sits best for my voice, so that's why I'm doing this song in that key. This is really what it is it's the root of the chord on top. So we've got a D on top. We've got the third in the center on the D string, and then we've got an A note, or the fifth, on the very bottom. So we've got the sixth happening here in terms of the interval between these two notes. And we get this lovely little chord all together. You could always use that as a drop 3 type of voicing if you want, but I like grabbing this sometimes. I think it's a nice sound. It's kind of got a density to it that I like for when I'm really feeling more of that zom, 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 of that steady 4 feel of a good swing guitar. So I take this chord shape, and from there I'm really kind of keeping this drop 3 idea, but without playing, the highest note, which might be on a B string. So if I were playing like that D6, I'd have that high note on the B string. So I'm essentially playing a string, skipping a string, playing 2 strings to make it simpler. So I play that. I use this diminished, which comes from scales of chords, as I see it, Barry Harris's scales of chords. So that's the diminished that exists on the flat 6. Remember, the diminished in the scales of chords exists on the 2nd, the perfect 4th, the flat 6th, and the major 7th at any time. Always, in each scale. So we do that, and then we move to this, what looks like a B minor 7, but B minor 7 is really also D6 with the 6 in the bass. So we go, do I, And then from there, there's a couple things that we can grab because we need to hit a D7. So we could hit a D7 with the 7 in the bass. It looks like this, where we have a D triad on top, skip a string, and then we have the 7th or C in the bass. It's not a bad voicing by any means. It's maybe not quite what you think of when you think of a dominant 7th chord, but it works in its own context if you kind of use it and put it in the right spot. Or right there, what we could do, because remember something I've been reminded of a lot lately, is that anytime you have 5, whatever the 5 looks like, so a dominant chord in general, you can put 2 minor 7 inside of that bar somehow, however you want, however it feels right and sounds in the moment to you. So when we get to 5, so we have 1 bar of the 1 chord, just 1 major, and then we have a bar of 1 dominant 7, right? So that means that I could play A minor 7 if I wanted to in the context of that D7 happening right there. So, well, if we think about Barry Harris in the way that he has taught us to look at minor 7 chords, well, a minor 7, A minor 7, is also a major 6 chord. In this instance, it's C major 6 and all the inversions that come with that. So I can use what appears to look like C6 in the context of this D7 that I'm about to play. So I have... It's pretty cool stuff. Next thing I did was I played this lovely little diminished here. So I've got this great little chromatic bass line. That's pretty cool. And kind of, I didn't think about this until just now, but I'm like unintentionally, I'm like doing 2 beats or 2 strums, 1, 2, then everything else gets 1. And then 2 strums to bookend it. I did that unconsciously, but it's cool to think about stuff like that. Kind of like now you're thinking about how your rhythm is actually doing its own kind of harmonic dance, as it were, right? Because we're doing all this cool movement with our harmony, but then we can get all this cool movement with our rhythm in a sense, and how we want to connect that rhythm to our harmony to also make these kind of beautiful rhythmic lines within our chord playing. So anyways, I do this little diminished right here. It's a C sharp diminished or a D flat, and it's going up to D7. Now, if I look at that in the context of Barry Harris's scales of chords, what you're gonna see there is that the diminished chord that resolves to whatever chord you're playing with in whatever scale of chords, that chord is the major 7th of D7. So if we think about the D7 diminished scale, we would have that C sharp would exist inside that scale. So basically anytime you're trying to resolve to a chord that has the root in the bass, whatever that is, if it's a dominant 7 or if it's a major 6 chord or a minor 6, a half step below that root in the bass function is always going to be the diminished chord that resolves to it. So you can, okay, that's how that's going to function. It's the same thing with the voicing with the 6 in the bass. There's always going to be that function. Okay, so far it looks like this. And then I just grab a good old D7. I'm doing it as a drop 3, but without that. I grab it like this in that moment just because it makes sense for my fingers. So, do I love you? And you can do a number of things from here. I kind of ended up grabbing the same thing just in 2 different string sets with either drop 3 or drop 2. I went, oh my, do I? So that's G6 with the 6 in the bass. It looks like E minor 7. Then we do a little diminished, which, as I said a minute ago, that diminished is always going to exist below the 6th or above the 5th in this instance. Then we're going to go to G6 with the 5th in the bass, G6 with the 3rd in the bass, and then we'll get to play that minor 6. And you know, you don't always have to move every single beat or whatever. So it's like I just chose just to hang out there for a little bit because it's good. It's good to not be busy all the time. It's like you got to have space, you know. Even if you listen to a great Bird solo, he's got lots of great uses of space in his playing. We can do the same thing with our rhythm. We don't need to just pound away at moving chords all the time. It's okay to like just hang out somewhere for a minute. So, do I love you? And then, oh my, do I? Right? Or what I did, I think at some point when I was playing initially, I did a drop 2. So let's play 4 strings in a row. Same thing, E minor 7 to diminished, or G6 with 6 in the bass to diminished, to G6 or E minor 7, depending on how you want to look at it, but G6 with the 5th in the bass. And then I use this voicing for the 3rd in the bass. This is a great little voicing if you don't want to quite get that B minor 7, which makes it sound like a G major 7/9 chord. We're not quite looking for that. We just still want to present G, and there's nothing wrong with triads. This is like a 4-note triad, is what Ted Green would call it. You have the initial triad of G, G, B, D, and then you got this B in the bass. So you're repeating a note. That's why he calls it a 4-note triad. It's like just like that could be called a 4-note triad. It's still a triad. It's just got doubling up of certain notes. So, and then coming into that. It just depends on how you want to look at all this. So, do I love you? Oh my. Do I didn't do that super clean, but I think I'll get the idea. That's a really great voicing to use. This is all great stuff to play with and see and utilize. It all works. So I hope this is helpful to you, and if you enjoyed this video. If you have, please subscribe, hit the like button, leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, etc. And best of luck with your jazz guitar playing, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Thank you.